Do you always need to listen to it? Is it always right? Do you need to have it all the time? Well, those are some of the questions that we're going to be kind of dancing around this week on the show as we fearlessly question proof with Andy Crestadonia. And we're going to be doing it in a way that you may or may not expect. I don't know if you've listened to the show or watched the show enough. You probably have come to expect it a little bit at this point. But the whole reason that we're doing this show, and Andy's a pretty big analytics guy, pretty big into SEO, and I love him for it because he knows the importance of a good solid search strategy. And when I mean search strategy, I mean just we all want to do these things that we want to turn our back on the thing that really brings us the results and continues to do it day in and day out without question, and that's search. But there's really a much deeper conversation to go on beyond that. And really what it is and what I want to talk to you about a little bit today is the idea of needing this thing, proof. Whether it's analytics, whether it's this fancy new word. I guess it's always existed in some form or fashion, but it seems more trendy nowadays. But social proof is another one of these, hip terms that people like to throw around. And there's also the proof of the, as I call them, the letters after your name. As most of you know that, when I'm not sitting here talking to you and doing these shows, when I'm not asking these questions to people, I'm working for my family's insurance agency. It's an independent insurance agency outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And, the idea of letters after your name is very big in the insurance industry. They're called designations, is what we like to call them. And I don't have one yet. Let's put it this way. I hope I never get one. Because I feel like today's world where, you can basically demonstrate your expertise and you can learn abundantly from whoever you want, whenever you want. The idea that I have to sign up for some sort of class and study some sort of material and then take a test and then allow these things, these letters after my name to then demonstrate that I know what I'm talking about. It is a completely and ridiculously outdated system that I don't talk about tons within the industry. I brought it up at a couple different periods of time. It was just kind of ignored mostly. But the point of the matter is that, listen, we have the ability to demonstrate that expertise every day, all day, and show people exactly, what we know. And the fact that can happen now makes these things almost irrelevant. But what's even more interesting is that within the traditional stodgy, buttoned up, straight-laced, couldn't be more boring industry of insurance, it's coming full circle to this hip, trendy industry called marketing, and specifically internet marketing, where, if you follow HubSpot, I've talked about HubSpot quite a bit, had a few HubSpot people on the show. I can't remember the actual number, but we had Sarah Bedrick and Nick Sal. He goes by Nick Sal, but Nick Salvatoriello, I believe is how it's said, on the show. We were fiercely questioning your teachers in that episode. And they're all about this certification thing. They've got 4 or 5. I'm not even sure. I haven't done any of the certifications, but it's inbound certified, HubSpot certified, COS certified is their platform in which you build your website on their platform if you want them to host it. So they have all these certifications that they roll out. And you take, there's classes and answers. I don't know if there's full-on classes, but whatever, there's material that you kind of review and go over and learn, and then you are basically test on it. And they're big on this. They've been doing this for a little over a year, maybe a year and a half. They've been kind of fleshing this whole program out, and I get it. I mean, it's a shortcut. It's kind of what we talked about last week with, Ginny Dietrich about, altering perceptions. I mean, this is, and I kind of hinted at it last week in our little one-on-one time, but, it's these are perceptions. These are stamps of approval that we can easily put up on our profiles and wear on our chest, and people can easily say, oh, I get that. And I don't know. I feel like everybody that has always been fascinated with those sorts of things really has a hard time with originality, and they're just they enjoy the paint by numbers structure of these certifications, and that's why you see a lot of people have a ton of them. They just, somebody tells them to do it, and they do it. They think it looks good, they do it. They do it for all the wrong reasons, and I don't know why we're having such a backlash. And even then, going beyond that, HubSpot being the primary example, but there's like and Andy's got this certification, and we might talk about it on the show. But there's like a Google Analytics, some sort of fancy title. I can't remember what it's called, but there's some sort of like stamp of approval for knowing Google Analytics. And again, he said it's not all that hard. It's like a day's worth of stuff, but it's this idea, and it's always been this way, I guess. Of having these things be shortcuts, be identifiers, and it's, again, altering these perceptions. But it is essentially a part of, why we're fiercely questioning proof, and why I'm talking to you about it right now is because it's proof that essentially it's proof that you know what you're talking about, and it's grounds for somebody to want to do business with you. And I have a problem with that because, listen, I tend to be a little... I don't know what the word is, but I'm sure you get the vibe of, I kind of go all in on things. I'm very pure about certain things, if you will. If I think something should be done one way, then that's kind of the way that I think the rest of the world should work. And I'm terrible at it. It's probably not all that realistic or beneficial, but that's just the way my head works. And, so I feel that, listen, we have this ability to communicate and showcase and display our expertise on a daily basis to anybody that we want. And that is the new letters that come after your name. It is, blog, or it is video, or whatever it is, that is the thing that now demonstrates that you are qualified. And it's this type of proof that I think is necessary and misleading, depending on what side of the argument that we're talking about. But, where I ultimately want to go with this conversation, and one of the biggest questions that I want to ask to you today, is you're constantly seeking this stuff. You want to know what your next move is. You want to know what you're supposed to do. You want to know how you're supposed to do it. But here's the thing. Anything that is worth doing or really going to have any sort of major impact or change, there's not going to be that trail of breadcrumbs leading you right there. There isn't going to be anything lined up perfectly in place telling you that this is it. Do this and you will get X. Not even close. And that's what bothers me as we're kind of seeing more of this rash of certifications and this focus on proof. And it's definitely there to tell you what worked, maybe why it worked, and how you can make something else work from it in the future. Andy said it best is, I think this was, and during when we were recording his pre-show rant, I don't know if I don't think it got worked into the thing, but, he said analytics only tell you what worked. It won't tell you what will work. He might have said that. And that's the thing is that we always, that it's a benchmark for our past success, not our future success. And finding the future success is what separates the men from the boys, to use the lack of a better phrase, I guess. And can you let go of that crutch? Can you move forward? Can you blaze a trail? Can you refuse bullet points? Can you do something that doesn't require set instructions, that hasn't been told, that hasn't been laid out before you, that somebody hasn't already come before you? That's the challenge this week, and that's why I want to fearlessly question proof and do it with Andy, because he's big into it. But at the same point, he understands that you can't let it dictate everything and prevent you from doing anything, because you have to understand that if you want to be successful and find something that is really your own, you're sometimes going to have to do it without the proof that you're looking for. And sometimes, I don't know, this might be foolish of me, but I think sometimes you might even need to ignore it a little bit. You need to know, what you're doing, why you're doing it, who you're doing it for. And if there is, some sort of, we'll call it a market is the fancy business term for it, but if there is any sort of, just ground floor for this thing, but after that, that's about as much proof as, I would say you would need. You could even skip one of those things possibly, but that's what bothers me, and that's why we're having this conversation, and that's why all of these questions come up, because it's just a bunch of stuff that I see happen over and over and over again, and all of these people, and I guess really the thing that gets me the most, and the person that this is maybe for indirectly or in dedication of, is all those people that I see that are HubSpot customers or partners or whoever they are, and they're just tweeting out, I got my certification for this or this, and it just, man, it rubs me the wrong way. It depresses me a little bit, because I feel like we're just wasting time on something that ultimately doesn't measure properly what we're looking to do and how we're looking to validate and how we're trying to prove ourselves. Is it necessary, I guess? Is it necessary all the time, every time? I would say no. I think Andy's going to have a little bit of a different answer. I'm obviously definitely from the camp that, you have to, let's go back to the very first fearless question that we asked, and that's fearlessly questioning, breaking the rules. And the question that, I never actually got to ask, because that show never really happened. We did all the prep stuff for it, but Marcus canceled in the 25th hour. We'll definitely get that to you, though, by the way. We're going to do that show at some point. Not sure when, but we'll definitely have Marcus on the show. Marcus Sheridan, that is. And it was, have you learned enough to know which rules to break? And that's kind of how I've been operating for the last couple of years. It's, listen, I, fresh out of college, I didn't want to learn anything about anything. And I just wanted to, break every rule I could and do things my way. Didn't really work out. It works out for some people, and it might work out for you. So I'm not saying not to do it, but I'm telling you from my mistakes, so you don't waste 5 or 6 years doing that. I've found it much more beneficial to get into the game, learn the rules, and then see which rules need broken, and you definitely increase your chances for success. And that's basically what this whole conversation is about. Proof is, finding out, what proof is needed and what is not, and how you can kind of turn your back on it and say, I'm going to go do this anyways. That's my challenge to you. What are you going to do anyways? Let me know. Joey@fearlesslyquestioning.com. I want to know what you want to do, what the proof isn't telling you, where you would like to go that somebody might say you're crazy for thinking that. That's what I want to know. So send me an email, Joey@fearlesslyquestioning.com. Let me know what that is. Let's talk about it a little bit. I think that'd be a little fun. Hear what you have to say. That's it. We're going to get back with you this Thursday, live, 2 p.m. Eastern, and that's going to be Fearlessly Questioning Proof with Andy Crestadonia of Orbit Media. Pretty big web consulting strategy. They do a lot of stuff, website and web related. So check back with us then. I promise it will be worth your time, and it's free, so there's no money. But if it were paid, I would say that it'd be worth your money too. Of course, I'll just wrap up and say, why don't you go ahead and leave a fearless question? I'm dying for more fearless questions. We're getting some of them. I'm going to start reading them on the show, whether it's in one of these pre-show things or whatever. Leave a fearless question over on iTunes or Stitcher, but just go to fearlesslyquestioning.com/subscribe. That'll get you to the links to either iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube, wherever you'd like to go to subscribe and or leave that rating review. I'm asking for fearless questions. We'll read those up on the air, and maybe who knows? If your fearless question is good enough, maybe it'll be a show. Tell me who you'd like to see fearlessly questioned, and that'll definitely happen. Promise you, if you leave me a fearless question that you would like to see pursued with a guest, and the guest that you'd like to see fearless question, done and done. Well, assuming it's like not the president or something that's absurd like that. But if it's within my grasp, I promise it will definitely happen. So head on over, fearlesslyquestioning.com/subscribe to make that happen. I will catch you guys on Thursday. I'm Joey Gigola. Take it easy, everybody.